big 2024 in women's sports has brand and media investors buying in for 2025. Caitlin Clark had an effect on women's sports in 2024, but investment at every level of the game will push it into the future. The growth of women's sports in the United States has continued its upward trajectory since the Title X Education Amendment of 1972 prohibiting federally funded schools from discriminating based on sex. This year, the sports marketing surrounding Clark's record-breaking run through NCAA March Madness and into the WNBA Draft and her record-setting Rookie of the Year season called attention to the growth in attendance, viewership, brand partnership, and broadcast interest. Investment yields those opportunities. In November 2023, at the start of Clark's senior year, the National Women's Soccer League, NWSL, signed a $240 million four-year media rights deal with Paramount's CBS Sports, Amazon Prime Video, Disney's ESPN, and Scripps ION. At the time, it was the most lucrative broadcast contract in women's sports history. That deal was followed by league sponsorships from both Amazon and Google Pixel and caught the interest of team investors. The NWSL's Portland Thorns sold in January for $63 million, or $10 million more than the $53 million expansion fee the league charged its newest club, Bay Area FC. Investors stepped in and bought the Seattle Reign for $58 million in March and the San Diego Wave for $113 million that same month. However, the biggest leak came in July when Willow Bay, dean of USC's Annenberg School for Communication and Journalism, and Bob Iger, CEO of the Walt Disney Company, bought Los Angeles-based Angel City SC for $250 million, making it the most valuable women's sports franchise in the world. You can look at like the Caitlin Clark effect as a spike, the way that '99 Women's World Cup was a spike, or Billie Jean King's Battle of Sexes was a spike, but you're seeing more of them. And you're seeing that bleed into more consistency, said Kara Nortman, co-founder of Angel City SC and founder of the Monarch Collective venture capital firm. You're still seeing a lot of work to bring all teams up and all leagues up, but then I think about next year and probably the next 3 years as more nuanced around how you actually create consistency. In the WNBA, meanwhile, the league brought in the Golden State Valkyries, Toronto Tempo, and a Portland franchise for $50 million each in expansion fees. It also renewed its own media rights partnerships with Amazon Prime Video and ESPN parent company Disney, as well as a new deal with NBC Universal. The 11-year deals broadcast 125 WNBA games a year, expand WNBA League Pass services internationally through Amazon, and allow the league to pick up more media partners along the way. Those deals are valued at $2.2 billion, or roughly 6 times the value of the W's current deal with ESPN. It might reach as much as $3 billion with additional partners like current WNBA broadcaster ION. That's all changing how brands plan to support women's sports going forward. According to Sports Innovation Lab's 2025 Women's Sports Media Benchmarking Survey, the average brand allocated 20% of its sports media budget to women's sports, up from 9% in 2023. While 82% of brands plan to increase their women's sports budget in 2025, 34% of those brands plan an increase of more than 10, up from 10% of brands that made such a leap in 2023. With only 7% of brands reallocating sports media money from men's to women's sports in 2025, women's sports have become a spending priority all their own. When you can create programmatic inventory that allows brands to reach WNBA fans or NWSL fans or women's rugby fans coming off the back of the Olympics and breakout stars like Alona Maher, these athletes continue to be culturally relevant and become stars in their own right, said Gina Waldhorn, CMO of Sports Innovation Lab. A lot of the brands that come to us have said we're on board with this notion of the fluid fan who's consuming clips, who's on TikTok, who has multiple OT subscriptions, who's on their mobile phone, who wants bite-sized content, who wants social content. Most valuable players going into 2025, a new report from Wasserman's women-focused practice, The Collective, and RBC, found that the shifts in women's sports within the last year have changed not only the value of those sports and their franchises, but the potential for investment. According to the report, TV viewership is expected to grow 32% for the WNBA and 24% for the NWSL by 2027. During that time, which includes the start of the new WNBA media rights deal in 2026, team valuations for both leagues are expected to rise from $2.6 billion for 26 teams, now to $4.3 billion for 32 teams, with increases in live attendance and TV viewership driving 63% of that second figure.